I'm ready
like my
to
balls
go.
kind of itch. I gotta be like completely honest.
So here's the thing: when you're out in public, do you try to be nonchalant, or do you just like go in
I
and
just do
recorrect?
it.
Because I've had moments where my wife will get embarrassed because I'll be like, my junk's real fucked right now, and I'll just like kind of go in there and just be like, let's move stuff around, and she'll be like, stop it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I won't go in my pants because I feel like then people will be like watching me, like everything I touch inside of a vase. They're just like, dude, you got that schmegma on my fucking like bag of gummy bears or whatever. Like, nah, that's not what I'm talking
I got sanitizer after. I sanitize my hand after. It's all good.
You make sure you're just
But,
like somebody watches you and you're just like, I'm
'em.
sanitizing. You just like do the fucking like waterfall of sanitizer on your hands.
Stare them in the eyes, and I'm fucking washing my hands after touching my balls.
Just make you happy.
Do? Yeah, no.
No,
because,
I just
look,
adjust it on the outside of my pants. Like
sometimes it just doesn't work. Because if you have those, like I have those boxers that are like boxer brief like combos. So
I'm wearing those right now.
See, because they're the best, because they're good and also restrictive at the same. Like there's freedom, but not too much freedom. But
it's just right.
Just
it's the
right.
Social contract of underwear.
Yeah, but sometimes when it's hot and sticky out, they get all bunched up, and you're like, I gotta go in there and I gotta pull them down. So sometimes I'll go from below, like I'll go up like this, where in my shorts I'll have to be like whoop. And I'll rip them.
Really? That's insane. That like
I'll pull them down.
Are you just talking about your underwear, or are you saying that undies. Sometimes you'll go straight up?
No, my
just
undies.
To your ball
No, just
sack?
my undies. No, that's psychotic. What are you fucking?
I thought you were saying you adjust your ball sack like through the pant leg. I was like, what are you talking
man here?
about?
Get out of here.
No, I don't think that's weird. Like moving your underwear, I don't think is weird at all. But like when you're jumbled up in the groin area.
Yeah,
your balls are all like mishmash together.
Yeah.
No, dude, you got to do it. Like, here's the thing, though. I worked with a girl. Like, I worked at an arcade a really long time ago, and she would like pick her nose all the time.
Also,
like she wouldn't try to hide it or anything.
I like people who do that unabashedly and just are like, I gotta pick my nose. I'm picking my nose. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I always love that she like, I once was like, hey, why do you do that? And she was just like, let's like, if we're being real, everyone picks their nose. I just don't try to hide it. And I was like, you got me. And that's kind of like, I feel like that's where it started with, is like, as long as you're honest about somebody, something, like no one can really make fun of you for it. Like,
hell no. If they're like, because that's the whole point. You're making fun of them because it's like that embarrassment. If there's
they feel
no shame, if there's no shame, what's the point? Then you're just stating facts, and they're like, cool.
Exactly. Ooh, you pick your nose. You're like, yeah. And I don't got boogers in my nose, unlike you, little bitch. No, I don't feel weird about it at all. So I'll adjust myself and be like, oh, my fucking balls itch. And just like itch my balls, but I won't go in the pants. In the pants is a little bit too far. Because then everybody's watching your hands like you've got fucking nuclear hands. Like they're afraid of you touching anything around them.
It's true.
Plus, like, then you just have to wash your hands. My hands are always like dry and cracked anyway because I just wash them so often. So it's like, I don't need to do that extra. And you were talking about how it gets like, it's like hot and bunched up and like sweaty. It is like muggy over there in Florida. Bro, what do you think it's like on your balls? That's why I don't touch my balls straight up, dude.
That's why you gotta flap it out. You gotta.
You're literally sitting there. You're like.
No.
You're like, I'm trying to dry on my ball sack, okay? And everybody's like, what are you fucking...
Just like, is there something wrong with this guy? It's hot!
You're like, that's why I just point one of the car fans up my pant leg. Like, be a normal person. Dry your balls in a different way.
It's true. It's true. It's a real thing. It's a real struggle, man. Yeah. It's hot out here. It's like, it's way too hot. I don't know what's going on. It feels... Yeah,
and it's just like a human need. Like, everybody's acting like they don't need to adjust their balls sometimes. Like, it's totally chill. It's just like girls with their boobs. You just got to do it. Like,
you got to do it.
External genitalia fucking sucks. Let's be real. Yeah. It's just like sometimes, like, I don't know if this is like just me, but sometimes like your underwear makes your butt cheek rest in a weird way, and you just got to move your butt cheek. And everybody acts like you're trying to spread your ass cheeks so you can let out a huge fart or something. I'm like, nah, dude. My fucking butt cheek is just sitting there weird in my pants.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird. like we're not supposed to be wearing clothes in reality. Like it's just
that's crazy. Welcome to Indie Pod.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the quality content we talk about.
Here's the thing, though. I got a shitload of stuff to complain about, so get fucking ready. We ain't even getting into the indie games yet. Here's the thing, dude. Okay.
All right.
And I might hate you for this.
For me? What did I do? All right, let's get into
I gotta
this.
ask you a question.
Okay.
When you go into a restaurant and the hostess is like, "Oh, okay, we got a table for you right here," have you ever had the audacity to be like, "No, I want that table"?
No.
Point at a different table?
I've never done that.
You deserve anybody who does that deserves to be punched in the face. Like you, like okay. Here's the thing. And I went to a restaurant and an old lady did that. And I was just like, ooh, you still deserve it. Like, let's be real. Because it's like they put you in these seats for a reason. It's not because they fucking hate you. Or maybe it's because they hate you.
There might be that, yeah.
Like, they put you in this seat because there's a rotation. And that they don't want their server to have to run all the way across the fucking room to go help you and then run all the way back. It just makes it easier for everybody. But, like, we're sitting here, my wife and I, like, she's a big fan of, like, Italian cuisine. So we go to, like, a couple of different Italian eateries. You know, the really high scale. The Olive Garden.
The Olive Garden.
The realization that fucking Olive Garden is the McDonald's of Italian restaurants is still the funniest thing to me.
100% it is.
But we go to this place called like Luciano's, and she's a fan of it because they give you like this soggy bread that's also somehow crispy, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like the Schrodinger's cat of bread. It's both soggy and crispy, and you're like, those are diametrically opposed ideas. It doesn't make any sense, but it works, I guess. But they give you this soggy bread and everything. And she gets this. She got a glass of wine. And she's like, can I get a glass of wine? And everybody else is like, okay, you got this fat glass. Like, you could palm. A glass of wine is like filling it up like a little bit. Yeah. Like, dude, this chick heavy-handed it. Like, almost up to the brim. It was like maybe this much from the brim. And my wife was like,
I'm looking at the size of their wine glasses. If they're the same from their website,
that's a lot. Huge,
that's
dude.
like a whole bottle of wine that lady poured her.
Yeah, and my wife was like, we got done eating, and she had barely she was like maybe halfway down the glass, and I was like, okay, like let's get ready to go, and she was like, we're not leaving, and I was like, after we got our shit boxed up,
wine here.
She was like, I gotta finish this glass of wine. I guess the most annoying part, like outside of, not even joking, 3 different people came in and they were like, oh, we'll put you here. And they're like, nah, I want to sit over there. Like 3 different people did that in a row, which I was like, are you fucking insane?
So the only reason I might be like kind of on their side with that is because of the current times of like, if they wanted to be like, we want to be a table apart, but yeah,
they were so far away. Yeah, no, they were seating people like 6 feet away
with
from
like a table apart. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, these people were like, I want to be all the way on the other side, and it wasn't like, oh, I want a social distance. It was like this guy saying he wanted a booth to himself, and the booths are fucking huge. They seat like 6 people, and this guy's like, can I have that booth over there? And they're like, I guess our dinner rush isn't gonna start soon, so maybe like
damn,
I don't know. And then these other people wanted to sit next to a window, and I was like, bruh,
these are pretty
fucking just where they seat you.
These are pretty low tier like things that they have to deal with, I'm sure, but there's so many things from a service industry perspective that I'm always like, God, I am so glad I don't do anything service industry related, because it's so, I don't know how people like, the people who do it, fucking saints. Like,
I would be such a bitch about it. If somebody was like, can I have that table? I'd be like, no. So, you can have this one, though.
You could have
like this one right here where I just sat you. You can have that one.
That's the one for you. That's the one for you. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get over the fact that some people are just so fucking rude to people who are in the service industry. Yeah. Because I'm like, do you understand, like,
they're acting like they're the owners of the fucking restaurant. They're like, oh man, I can't believe you do this to me. They're like, I fucking make like $3 an hour plus tips.
I fucking love it when they're like, do you know who I am? Do you know how much money I make? And they're like, more than me, bitch. I'm fucking working here. Like, What do you want from me? I don't own this. If I own this place, I wouldn't be serving your ass right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
my God.
It's like, it's outrageous. My wife, when she worked for a hotel, she was like a hostess for the like bar and restaurant area. And she told me about this time where she goes to seat somebody and they're like, hey, can we have those tables over there by like the river? Because everyone wants to sit next to them.
Yeah, of course.
And she was like, oh, sorry, those tables are actually reserved. We have a party coming in about like 15 minutes. And the people are like, oh, okay. So my wife like seats them, walks away, comes back. They're sitting moved.
There. They moved. Yeah. Oh, man.
And she was like, are you serious? Like, what? That's such a dick move.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you do that to somebody. Like,
whew, hot damn.
Yeah. And these are just like obviously minor gripes. It's like whatever. Also, the lady, she poured my wife like the biggest glass of wine, and then she came by and was like, "Hey, can we refill your waters?" And my like Dr. Pepper was completely empty, and I was like, "I not getting any refills or anything."
Oh my God, such a.
I just paid like $5 for this fucking soda. You would refill this, and she just like totally ignored it, like, because I don't want to be that guy who's like, you refill my actual drink? Like, do that?
Oh my God.
This is just once again me being uncomfortable with confrontation. So I was like, I'll just drink water.
No,
it'll
just
be
say
fine.
Excuse me. All right.
Nah.
Excuse me. Can you please?
It makes me uncomfortable.
Can you please teach me how to talk to people, and then I'll order something from you?
Hello and welcome to IndiePod, an indie games podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week, we once again actually don't have any we don't have any big news stories for you. I don't want to say nothing is happening in the indie game side of things that's really big, because it is absolutely possible that there is big stuff happening. Maybe people are just not writing about it, and I haven't been able to find it. Like, it's a big industry. It's hard to find shit. But I mean, it's
also tough because like we don't mark, like big news as every single game coming out, because there's just millions of games coming out every day. Well, that would be a lot, but like
there's
a ton of games are coming out every week, every month. Like there's always something there, and we have some things that we'll probably talk about in News Cram, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I would like to introduce myself, Vaughn, alongside my illustrious co-host, the biggest average Josh Boys. How you doing today, Josh Boy?
I'm doing great. Just got back from Boston. Did you see my story?
How'd your flight go? No, I didn't see your story. I was just wondering how your flight went, because I know you get anxious.
I hate flying, dude. I hate it. And it was one of those things where both ways were relatively okay. I watched all of that new anime. Well, I guess it's not animation, or it's animation, but it's not anime, because I think it's more Western. Which would you call Western anime, or would you just call that a cartoon?
There's a thing like amongst anime lovers and like weeaboos, like real weeaboos and such, where they do not believe that anything outside of Japan is actually anime, because anime is supposedly animated in Japan. Yeah. So they will call there's Western animation, and then there were some like webtoons that were actually animated, and I believe like South Korea, like specifically Tower of God and like God of High School and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Anyway, people refuse to call them anime. It's weird.
It's trivial. Watch the new show, or relatively new show, Invincible.
I love Invincible.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
Really, really good show. Super gruesome, but really good show. I was like, it was one of those things where my wife isn't a person who's like into cartoons or animated stuff very much. So oftentimes if there's something that comes out, I'll be like, I'll watch it on my own. But sometimes I'll have the notion to just be like, just come on, watch it with me. I'm so glad I didn't try to push her to watch that, because how gruesome some of those scenes were. I was just like, my wife would have been so turned off immediately by that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I was surprised they went so hard so quickly. Like it takes probably like 3 volumes of the comic to actually get to what Omni-Man does, literally the end of the first episode.
At the end of the first? Yeah.
It's so quick.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I never heard anything about, the actual books or whatnot. I just heard that it was a good show, tried it out because it was just something to distract me on my plane ride, which I always freak out. I did that whole move where everyone's like, "Oh, just get drunk. Just get drunk before." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. And now I'm sleepy and bloated, but still nervous. I was like, this didn't help me at all. Like, thanks. But I made it back, obviously, because I'm here doing the podcast. But it was good. It was good. It was nice.
That's good. I'm glad. What was your story about? You said
no, just my dumb little tweet where I was like, I was at this airport bar and I was getting a couple beers and some food, and she then gives me my receipt. And normal people will say like, oh, have a great day, because that's what I normally think of. And she's like, have a great flight. And I was like, thanks, you too. And then I was like, oh. And she like walks away, and I was like, ugh, got me.
Isn't that so uncomfortable? It's always the thing, like at the movie theater when people are like, hope you enjoy your movie. You're like, yeah, you too. Ah, fuck me.
Fuck. It's like,
you're like, I hope you go see a movie when you get off. Like,
and they're like, that's the last thing I want to do. I want to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know exactly what you mean. Like every time, like people are like, enjoy your food. Oh, you too. And you're like, oh, fuck me. Damn it. It just feels so uncomfortable. It's so weird that we hold, like we have that to such a high standard. Like it makes you feel uncomfortable when you say that. And it's like, they probably don't even think about it. They're just like, yeah.
They probably don't. They have no interest in what you have to say, because they're like, I got your money. And they're like, I'm done with you.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you too.
Yeah, whatever.
He's just like, peace out.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
whatever.
I totally know what you mean. Of course, we may not have any quick or big news stories. I keep trying to say quick for some reason.
I don't know.
We actually do have one quick news story, and then we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of new stuff. But before we get into any of that, I need to go through our housekeeping. Please check out our Jonathan, I don't know how to say the last name, Jonathan Ovadia? The CEO of AxeLab, developers of Veil VR. That one is going live on Wednesday, the 21st of July. So be sure to check that out. Once again, that is Jonathan Ovadia, the CEO of AxeLab. Of course, we put out the developer interviews every Wednesday. That is one day after for patrons, 2 days before for plebes. You get to enjoy those. They're always interesting. Some interesting conversation to be had. Please head over to the IndiePod Teespring store for t-shirts and stickers. Head over to our YouTube channel, which is just IndiePod on YouTube, for a bunch of miscellaneous like video stuff, but specifically you can watch these episodes for the at times visual gags that you can only experience through the YouTube.
I mean, you wouldn't have seen me pulling my hands up inside my shorts, you know, this
that's true.
Earlier part, you wouldn't have got
very
to see
necessary,
because otherwise you might not get it visually. They might be like, where is he putting his hands? I can't possibly imagine.
He said up his short leg, but I don't get it. I cannot picture this. I need to see them thick cheeks. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
I get it.
100%. There's a large visual component to this podcast, and it's mostly because the big Josh boy is a cutie.
Oh, come on now.
Please leave us reviews on any sort of platform in which you can do so. Specifically, iTunes helps us out a bunch. And if you write a review, we will read it. Whether that's, I guess, good, bad, ugly, I don't know. You could just, I guess, draw a picture of poop with like the characters people do. You know,
that'd be
how they
cool.
do the periods and stuff. Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
That'd be cool.
Maybe leave a review in binary. We would have to figure that out. Who knows? Morse code, maybe? You're like beep 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 beep. Like that'd be pretty interesting. I don't know Morse code, but like I wouldn't learn it to know. Yeah, I wouldn't put the effort into.
If Google will just translate it for me automatically, and if not.
And Google Translate always works so well. It never misunderstands
100%.
Mistranslations don't exist without software. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons in general. If you give us $1, $5, or sometimes even more for absolutely no reason, we love you for it. But, of course, we got to thank specifically the $3 tier and higher. We've got Ethan, a gamer for fun. John, it's just John. That's it. I'm sorry. We'll see Mix, aka Mixomatosis, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the one better for Australia, Chris Penwell, always drinking tea, Josh Nichols, aka Active Josh, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much. You're all so amazing. And let's talk about what we've been playing. Big Josh boy, you've been playing Doki Doki Literature Club by Team Salvato.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
We all know, well, at least you and I know, that I'm a big psychological horror fan. It's kind of my thing. I don't know why. I just creepy stuff from.
You like to be mind fucked, dude.
Yeah,
Like you saw Chris Angel walk on that fucking. You saw him walk on the water at that pool one time. That was definitely like just glass platforms, and you were like, "Whoa, this broke my psyche," and you just chasing that high ever since.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, David Blaine fucked you up like all the magicians. You know, that's the only two I know actually.
I've never been the same. I don't know any others either. But that's okay. So Doki Doki Literature Club, I played the for free version, not the new Doki Doki Plus version that just came out, which is on like Switch and PC and I think a couple other console ports.
It's on PlayStation 4 as well.
Is it?
It's
okay,
I think it's pretty much across all
everything.
platforms.
Yeah. So I can't talk to the Plus version or what else was included, but I think, you know, if you are into the horror scene and you're okay with a little bit of visual novel bullshit, then you'll enjoy this. This is one of those things where when you look at Doki Doki Literature Club, the whole point is that there's a big twist, and I'm not obviously going to put too much into that, and I also don't want to talk too much about this because honestly, me knowing a little bit of what happens already for this game kind of, I think, tarnished my experience a little bit, which I'm upset about, but I also don't think I ever would have played it.
The fact that you knew there was like a psychological horror twist?
I never would have played it otherwise because it's very much for the first like 30 minutes or so a visual novel. And there was like a point where I was just like, oh my God, could we just move on? Like I was looking for the part where it's like, and it kind of sprinkles it in where people will say like one or two sentences in between and you're like, that's fucking weird.
You're like, wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
They just act like it didn't happen.
And they just act like it didn't happen. And there's like little glitches that are going on in this. And there's moments where characters will say things where you'll kind of like think about it and it won't even be that big of a deal. But then the story kind of like replays itself halfway through. And then you start picking up on things that they had already said. And it kind of starts making more sense of like, wow, this is fucked up. What's happening here? Kind of spoilers, but more to the nature of like, if this theme really is not for you and will upset you or get you down, like the ideas between like suicide and some other much darker themes are very much rooted in this. So take that with a grain of salt. If that's going to like really scar you or you just don't want to be a part of that, like don't play this game because there are very disturbing elements to it. But I really like the way they did this. There's multiple endings. There's multiple things that you can do in the game to kind of experiment. Like the game has a great way of making you, it teaches you how to do a certain thing that is very rooted in how the game works. I'm being very vague, I know, but I just don't want to give anything away. But it does it in a way where it makes you think like, oh, I wonder, like, what else could I do to try and figure out if there's other endings or other ways that you can manipulate the story, which I love when games do that, because the sense of feeling like you have power over the game or have some kind of control over what is happening in a game, I think is incredibly impressive when people are able to do it in a way where it doesn't feel forced, if that makes sense. Like it feels like you're discovering it, not that they like kind of gave you breadcrumbs to discover it. Once again, I have to be super vague with this, but but it's done in a way where they clearly push you into a direction and say, you have to do this, XYZ, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But then you kind of get that idea of like playing around with that of like, oh, well, I wonder what happened if I would do this, but slightly different. And you'll get different pieces that happen in the game. I think there's it was 4 specific endings. I went through like 3 of them, and then one of them I just watched because I was like, I don't want to do this visual novel bullshit anymore. Here's the thing, like I really enjoyed the experience, but like I do not like visual novels, and there was a point where I was just like, fuck man, this is too much for me. Like
yeah, I've like maybe fucked around with visual novels like once or twice, and they're not really my jam. I don't really like the static image and just reading paragraphs. Like it's not a big I
Yeah.
guess it detracts a lot from the experience for me, even if the story is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's not even like I'm using visual novel kind of as a derogative term because I'm thinking more of like it very much plays into the visual novel idea that, at least for me, I think of, which might be like a biased thought, but it's like the I'm a high school boy and I'm trying to date all these girls. Pick the options that'll make the girl like you. And I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't give a fuck if they like me. Like,
it's like a hentai dating
yeah,
sim. You're like what's happening?
It is very much in that kind of realm for a good portion of it. And it's like, oh, which one are you gonna try to schmooze up? And I'm like, I don't want this. Like, show me the weird, creepy stuff. Like, stop making me try to fuck her. Like, that's not what I'm looking to do.
I don't want this cutesy anime game, dude. I want to fucking hate my life. Like, that's what I came here for.
Yeah, and so there's none of the like the crazy like lewd stuff or anything to that nature. So it's not like it was explicitly showing that, but it was like if you would have taken all the creepy parts and just shoved in some naked anime titty sections, like, could have worked for the game still. Like, it would just would have been a totally different game, but like they had the stuff in the makings to create it. But that being said,
to be fair, I think that's also kind of the allure to Doki Doki Literature Club, is that like it brings you in and gets you lulled into this like false sense of security with the cute anime girls and the weird like romance-esque story, and then from what I understand, it takes a pretty fucking hard turn. Yeah,
and it's worth it for the turn. I won't ever play it again, but it was a great experience. Plus, it's free if you don't do the plus version. So, like, if you're into like the horror idea, like, just fucking try it out.
I mean, I have heard that the plus version is worth it, though. I mean, the game itself, I've heard great things, but the plus version, I've actually heard that they added quite a bit to the game.
Yeah, so have I. And it's one of those things where like I'd love to check it out, but also I just don't really. I don't know. Maybe one day.
You don't want to. Yeah, you're like, in a sense, I can't justify it based on my enjoyment of this type of game. It's like, oh, how much exactly did they add for me to not only invest my money, but also my time into it again? Because like you said, you didn't even want to play the other ending. You just watched it. Yeah.
Because you have to, it's one of those things where and I love games that do this, where they're like, oh, we have multiple endings. We have different things that you could do. And you're like, cool, but I don't want to spoil it. So I go blind into a game. And if I spend a ton of time and don't know when I should like save my file to know where like a branch of the story is going to happen, then
you have to play through the whole
And so there's like these parts where I'm like, well, I don't want to restart the entire thing again to do. And granted, it's not a long experience. So like, it's really me just being like, I'm just lazy. I don't want to go through that kind of a thing. But it's an issue that I find with these games, even though I love multiple ending games. But a lot of the time, personally, I'm like, that was a great experience. I got my ending. And then I'll be like, what's the other? And I'll just look it up, because a lot of the time I don't want to redo it unless it's something that really hooks me. Like Amori was a game where I was like, I still want to like redo this. And I played like a ton more just to get different endings and play back through. But I still had the same issue where what I did was I found out that I had saved at a point that was too far into it. And I literally just went and found like there was a way where they were like, here's a save file that's in the right direction. And so I just took that and just started from there, which if that like that's how people who are making branching story games should have those type of like save files that you could just transfer over, because it makes it so much easier to just start it once you know what your first ending is like. But anyway, I digress. It's a good experience. I recommend it. I just don't think I'll go into the plus version.
Dude, I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I often talk about like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and stuff like that. I almost never play them for another ending. Like I've played through the trilogy of Mass Effect several times. I always do the same things. It's kind of like the enjoyment of the ride. I'm not playing through to get a different ending to this story or anything like that. Like It's never been the allure to the game for me. So I 100% back the people who are like, nah, I play through a game once, and if it has multiple endings, I fucking watch that shit on YouTube. Like, I 100% think that that's like a perfectly okay thing to do. Like, you should not be judged for wanting to do that, because it just like, Sure, like you might not, I guess, appreciate an ending because you didn't have to go through the trials and tribulations of actually earning it.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, it's just like, bruh, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it's so certain games it takes a lot longer. Like, how long does it actually take to finish Doki Doki?
So Doki Doki's not long. It was probably a couple hours.
Okay.
So the experience for me is more that it felt longer, just because it's a genre that I'm not 100% into.
Yeah.
But like, I just mean like
10
other
minutes passed and it felt like an hour. You're like,
yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Cause it's one of those things where like some of the dialogue was written really well, and then other pieces I would just look at it and I'd be like, stop! No one talks like this. No one talks like this. It would be like the you know, the high school boy who's like, don't worry, whatever your name is, I'm gonna say something really sweet to you that doesn't sound natural at all, but it's because maybe I'll boink boink with you. And it's like, stop. It's so obvious. Why? Like, no one talks like this.
yeah, it doesn't feel like natural dialogue.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I was listening, this is obviously an aside, but I was listening to an audio drama the other day because ever since I listened to We're Live, I was like looking for a new one. And it's called like End of All Hope. And I was like, oh my God, it's so fucking bad. Like they would say something, and you know how we're conversing, like just
back to back.
you respond to my conversation, like my part of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's how conversations actually work.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you listen to a podcast where there's a slight delay between the two people, and it feels a little bit odd. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
But this does exactly that, where, like, after somebody says a line, there's, like, a good maybe 2 seconds before somebody responds, which doesn't seem like a massive amount because 2 seconds goes by really quickly. But when you're just speaking, it seems so long.
Yeah.
And they just kept using the same fucking audio cues over and over again. I was like, bruh, use that same skid like 6 times in this 10-minute episode. You need to stop.
Yeah.
There's an entire library across the internet of different audio cues. Like, you need to quit. It's fucking annoying, but... yeah, no, there's definitely something to be said about, like, when something has stilted dialogue, it doesn't matter how much of a shit you give about the story, it just feels uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
I don't know if I can get into this because this guy's just like, me, like, I like you, let's do the sex stuff. And you're just like, and that worked for you? Like, what?
yeah. That's
What are you fucking...
honestly, that's kind of how I felt with Mass Effect 1. Now that I'm like going through the trilogy very slowly, I feel like some of the like the love stories were just like, hi, we just met, I feel like I'm falling in love with you, and you're like, what? We've had no conversations in between this.
I mean, it also doesn't help that, like, it'll be like, the good option is just like, it's okay, like, what you did was fine, and then you click on it and it's just like, what you did was fine, sure, you committed genocide, like, that's cool, I can't believe you did that, you know, you're like kind of a piece of shit for that, and you're like, in what world was that what that meant?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Yeah,
Dialogue stuff is tough. Like,
it is.
I wouldn't,
it's really tough.
I'm not gonna say that I could have done it better, but I mean, you know,
writing dialogue is hard. I imagine it's like really, really tough.
Yeah,
it's making things sound fluid and like an actual conversation, because you always want your characters to sound at least somewhat intelligent. You don't want them to sound like a fucking dumbass, but at the same time, you're like, why am I using such like fucking crazy high words, like some fucking high art shit?
Yeah.
Like, nobody speaks like this. Everyone speaks in layman terms. It's just what happens. Like, it's totally fine. So
anyway,
for me, what I've been playing this week, I didn't actually put anything in the doc because I've been playing some Neon Abyss for, of course, our book club episodes.
That makes sense.
Everyone on free services has yet to actually listen to any because I forget to upload them, which is super
I feel
fun.
like for the past like 3 weeks, we've talked about how we'll probably put them up.
I've said it so many times.
Every time.
And
you
I
know,
just
this
forget
is just
about
like
it.
our t-shirts.
Yeah.
They're coming soon.
I forget about it every time. I'm just like, I got to do that. And then I do something else instead. So I've been playing some Neon Abyss, but I've also been playing a lot of Red Dead Online. Not even joking.
Yeah,
playing the cowboy game, dude.
I saw that the other day. I was like, Red Dead? I was like, what the hell? What is he doing playing that?
Yeah, I'm just playing a shitload of Red Dead Online with Chase because, like, I don't know why, but I was like, I want to play the cowboy game. I'm feeling some cowboys. And just started playing because Chase was talking about it like a month ago that he got on it and was really enjoying it. So I got on and I was like, dude, this game is so fucking good. Like, I love Red Dead Online now. It's so much fun.
Sometimes.
And he and I have just been grinding. Okay, here's an additional story that really pissed me off. So you can get like gold in the game as an actual purchase. Like you can spend real world money on it or you can earn it, but it takes a really long time to earn it. And I wanted to do this bounty hunter role, like things that are hidden behind a paywall basically. And I didn't want to spend 1,000 hours grinding out the gold. So Chase and I both were like, okay, we'll pay $20. We'll get the bounty hunter role so we could do it together. And I tried to purchase this $20 in fucking gold. And it was like, nah, not gonna happen. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll do it. Like, I'll go through the Rockstar launcher and pay for it with my PayPal. And it was like, I log into my PayPal. I was like, buy now or whatever. And it was like, no. How about no instead? And it said that the website crashed. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just put my fucking debit card in there. It's fine. Whatever. I paid for it. Finally get my gold. I hop into the game. I've got the 55 gold or whatever. Okay. That's how much I wanted. That's how much $25 gives me. And or $20 gets me. And Chase and I do our first like bounty hunter mission and we come back and I was like, because it gives you a little bit of gold after each one. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like, why do I have so much gold? Why do I have 77 gold? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, Chase, how much gold do you have? And he's like, I have like 25. And I was like, why do I have so much? And then I finally got my email and it charged me twice. One of the PayPal things went through and then I paid for it with my fucking debit card. I was like, fuck ass.
Well,
yeah.
That sucks,
I was quite upset about it. But Chase and I very much enjoying playing some Red Dead Online. We basically are just like running around shooting people. Like it's just fun.
Oh my God. Stuff. A terrible person in game and out of it. I'm so glad that you got to tell people about the small indie games that are out there because
I know, dude.
If you didn't,
it's a good old indie game called Red Dead Redemption 2, dude.
I mean, I would have never known about it.
Here's the thing, like there's not many people that actually play Red Dead Online, which I find amazing surprising. Because it is so much fun. Like I don't like Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't like GTA Online. I really don't. I don't think it's fun. I'll play it for like 5 seconds and I'm like, this is fucking dumb. Like, and it's easy to forget that Grand Theft Auto 5 came out like
so long ago.
Console generations ago.
So long ago.
Yeah. And I like hopped into Grand Theft Auto 5 with like Chase and my roommate Forrest for like a little bit because they got really heavy into it like a month or two ago. Yeah. And I walked up to a building and I was like, this is like a box with a sticker on it. That's what this fucking storefront looks like. And Chase pointed out, he's like, I mean, this game came out like 10 years ago. And I was like, holy shit, it did.
And people are still
it's so easy to forget
playing it. Like, it's like it's the biggest thing. Like it just came out. Like there's so many people on that.
That shit's coming to like PlayStation 5. It's coming to current gen consoles. It's like this has been on more consoles than fucking like Skyrim? Critically acclaimed title. Like big shit. I don't know. Skyrim. Like.
Skyrim's on everything. That shit's on toasters.
Skyrim easily probably has the award for most platforms achieved. Like it's fucking crazy. Playing some Red Dead Redemption Online is fun as shit. But of course,
good stuff.
We do not have any main news stories, so instead we're going to be hopping in to News Cram. What is that? What is that? Is that a new News Cram? Yeah.
See, that's not really like a cram though. Like you got to cram, that was more like a news stretch.
Oh, that's a good point. Instead you're like, cram.
Yeah, you got to cram it. Cram me.
Yeah, okay. All right. I like how the way we do it is like mine is elongating it and yours is just like fucking like the hammerfist shit.
News fucking cram.
I get it. Okay.
That's how it works.
So, News Cram is our weekly wrap-up segment where we, the hosts of Indie Pod, an indie games podcast, cram you full of all sorts of indie games news. This week in News Cram, we have one quick news story for you before, of course, we hop into a whole bunch of new stuff. Our first and only quick news story for today comes by way of GameSpot, where it's reported that The Mr. X Nightmare DLC for the popular beat-em-up game Streets of Rage 4 is currently being plagued by a bug that won't allow players to purchase the DLC on the Nintendo Switch. But the developers Dotemu, I don't know if I said that correctly, has assured eager gamers that there should be a fix within the following days. This was written on the 15th, and I believe there's still not a fix for it as far as I know.
I haven't seen
one. And it's the 18th, so...
Couple days.
This is kind of a weird bug to have where you're like, yeah, people who want to play your game legitimately cannot purchase it from you. Yeah. They're like, it's impossible. Like, I want to give you money. Let me give you money.
I wonder what. First off, I wonder what's happening because it does seem kind of strange.
And it's also, only on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
like everyone else can buy it, from what I understand.
Is it something wrong with like the Nintendo, like with their service and the way they set it up? Is it something wrong with the actual game itself? Like, I'm not 100% clear on what's going on, but I just think it's funny. And obviously I'm so sorry to the people who really want to play this, but I think it's funny that like there seems to be this trend of just games always sucking real hard when it comes to the Switch. Like it's so funny to me because everyone's like, the Switch is the place to play indies, and consistently indies are always having like problems shafted on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can't even say it's just indies because there's so many games that just have Switch ports.
It's tough when you have a lesser version of everything else that's out.
I don't know. Well, this kind of reminds me of like the Switch is like the new version of PC where all AAA games would have PC ports that just fucking blew, like Batman Arkham Knight or Prey were notoriously horrible on PC. Yeah. And the Nintendo Switch is kind of starting like that, where it's like, of course, they're probably, for every 10 games that release on the Nintendo Switch, I bet like 2 have fucked up shit, but they're so fucked up to the point where like it becomes laughable.
Like a big
it's like legitimately hilarious. And then there's a game that comes out on like The Witcher 3 that runs fine on the Switch, and you're like, but how does fucking Bloodstained Curse of the Mood or Ritual of the Night not play well on your console? Like it doesn't make sense.
Just poor optimization, I guess. I honestly don't know. I don't know enough about the development side of things and the hardware side of things, but like it's rough. It is what it is. Good luck to the people who want to play this. One day you'll be able to lose money. I promise you.
And to your point, like it could very well be that like the Nintendo Switch might be actually kind of hard to make ports for, or just certain things weren't anticipated. Very similar to the like, I believe it's like the cell architecture of the PlayStation 3, how people had really hard time porting their games to the PlayStation 3 or just developing their games for it. It could be something similar to that. We have no idea. Like it's just... It does really suck for both the developer Dotemu, like losing out on all these sales, and all these Nintendo Switch gamers that just want to give developers money. They're like, I just want to give it to you. But I mean, this is kind of a weirder scenario where it's not like Ritual of the Night where you could buy the game and just be fucked. Like the game just wouldn't work. Instead, this is like, I love the game. I want to buy the DLC, but it's actually impossible. Which like, I think it's not that it doesn't work. It's just you just can't
get it. Which is honestly, it's better for a number of reasons. One, because people aren't getting pissed off because they bought something that is not up to par with the money they paid, right? Because they literally can't. And two, because there's probably a lot of people who, you know, if you're just like a casual gamer who picked it up and thought it was fun, you probably have no idea that DLC is coming, and like eventually one day you'll just see it. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's
like this affects way less people than if your game just doesn't work on a platform.
Yeah. So if this was gonna break in any way, I guess not being able to purchase it at all is probably the way for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't help that like Streets of Rage 4 has actually had, I guess, a couple of different issues. Like I remember when it first came out, it was I believe it was having a similar issue where you couldn't purchase it on the Nintendo Switch or something like that.
I don't remember.
I can't remember 100%, but I remember specifically Streets of Rage 4 has had an issue in the past with different platforms during its release. So
Yeah.
Not 100% sure.
I
Might
mean,
be talking about my ass there, but
No, I mean in the article they said there was a ton of hot fixes for characters and different patches for things. I don't know if it was specifically for the Switch. I haven't played Streets of Rage 4 just because I forget. I'm pretty sure Streets of Rage 4 is this really pisses me off, especially in the height of a pandemic. Obviously now it's in a different place and a lot of people are in different mindsets of what that means right now. But
yeah.
Streets of Rage 4 and things like Battletoads came out around this time, and it's one of those things where Battletoads, you can't even play online co-op, which I think is fucking nuts, because I was like, what are you thinking? But Streets of Rage 4, you could play 4 people, and I'm pretty sure about this. I might be wrong, but the way that I've looked this up, you could play as 4 people if it's local, but you can only play 2 if it's online co-op.
That's a little weird.
Why?
Which I don't understand why anyone would do that.
Yeah. And so like I haven't picked it up because I'm like, I have a group of people who I want to play it with. Like, I don't want to just be like, hey, I know we're all on a call, but like, can 2 of you fuck off so I can play with this one person? Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's whatever.
That is really weird. No, I don't know about that. Honestly, the reason I haven't played Street Fighter 4 is because I fucking suck at beat 'em up games, and I'm honestly just not a fan of them. I don't like Super Crush KO is probably the only beat 'em up game I've ever played and enjoyed. Otherwise, I was like not a big fan. There are games that have had beat 'em up sections in them, and I was just like Crossing Souls did not like the beat 'em up section. I think that's when I stopped playing. I got to the beat 'em up section and I was like, not a fan. I don't want to play this. Like I did not anticipate this game being a beat 'em up. That didn't make any sense to me. But it is cool that it exists there. I think it is fun. And of course there are a lot of people who like beat 'em up. So on to some new stuff. Our first 6 items of new stuff come by way of Nintendo Life, where it's reported that fast-paced brawler Super Crush KO by Vertex Pop is getting a physical release through Super Rare Games, with your choice between the limited edition, which is pretty much just a physical edition. I believe it comes with some cards inside as well, and a steelbook copy. I would assume the steelbooks cost more. Just to let you know a little bit of additional details on this, there are only 4,000 in total, 2,000 of each different edition to purchase through. So there's that. To pick up your physical copy, head over to superraregames.com not King Kong's website, you know.
KingKong.com, baby.
Superraregames.com on July 22nd at 1 p.m. ET. You're gonna have to figure out what exactly that time means for you. I don't know. I just thought it's Big Josh Boy's time, and I felt like a lot of people live on the East Coast, so I was like, this will make sense for more people, is to just include the ET. So
sure,
there you go. The tower defense action RPG Dungeon Defenders Awakened by Chromatic Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch on August 4th. That puzzle game Labyrinth City Pierre the Maze Detective by Darjeeling is now available on the Nintendo Switch. That RPG Swords and Souls Never Seen by Swords and Souls Never Seen by Soul Game Studio is headed to the Nintendo Switch on August 18th. That low poly narrative adventure game Button City by Subliminal, I believe that's how you say that, is headed to the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam on August 10th. And that Monster Tamer Nexomon by VWO Interactive Incorporated is headed to the Nintendo Switch sometime soon. Now over to Polygon, where it's reported that unforgiving survival game Dread Hunger by Dread Hunger Team is headed to PC via Steam in its 1.0 release sometime this fall. It's actually in Steam Early Access right now, so you can buy into it if you'd like. And I believe they just had a new update that added the ability to, I don't know, get eaten by a fucking bear, and there's like a new character or some shit.
That's what I'm looking for.
But apparently you can betray and eat your friends in that game. Not even joking.
Don't like
and
that.
they're all humans. It's just cannibalism. Like, you
like
could just
that.
do it. Yeah, they're basically just surviving in Antarctica.
Well, I guess sometimes you gotta eat your friends.
Yeah, like maybe a toe or two, you know, like not their whole body. Like maybe they chop off a foot and eat it.
If you're gonna eat your friend, do you eat a piece of them and be like, I need to let you live? Or do you just eat the full friend because you're like, how could you look them in the eyes knowing that you cut off their foot? They'd be like, you're dead to me. And you'd be like, well, I guess you're dead for real then.
You're like, I mean, I guess if you're just gonna hate me anyway, I might as well just kill you and eat the rest.
Yeah.
I might as well
hungry.
jerkyify you.
Yeah, I'm hungry and I don't want to feel bad, right? Like,
I mean, that's kind of a. Did you ever watch the movie Snowpiercer?
No.
With Chris Evans. I honestly, I thought the movie was awesome. I haven't watched the TV show, but it's essentially like the world has, because of I believe it is because of global warming, the like governments of the world accidentally overcorrect and they cause like somewhat of a nuclear winter, and the only people who actually survive are those that get on this train that just moves throughout the world on this constant track, very similar to Polar Express. Yeah, but instead of Santa Claus, there's just like a dickhead that is at the engine who steals children from the impoverished people at the end of the train, who also at one point in time did not have any food and were just starving, so they started eating each other. And the main character just straight up admits that he's eating babies, and he's like, babies taste the best, which is a little fucked up. Like, knowing,
it's like veal.
Yeah, it's hard to enjoy a character when they reveal that they eat babies. Like, did they eaten a baby before? It's a little weird. But there's like an old man in it who cut off his own leg and gave it to everybody so they could eat it instead of eating a baby. Which I was like, yeah, dude, what a fucking homie. Like, right? What a nice guy. It's a good movie, though. You should watch it.
All right,
but yeah, I think I could look my friend in the face after eating his leg. You know? As long as they were in on it. They were like, eat my leg. Like, that'd be cool.
Okay,
they didn't
that's
just wake up and I'm sitting there hacking off their fucking leg.
That's not what I was asking about, though.
I mean, yeah, I guess in Dread Hunger, it is a very much betrayal-focused game, seemingly. You're not just like, hey, dude, can I have like a toe of yours? Instead, you're just like, I'm just going to cut off your arm in your sleep. Like, if I cut off both your arms, you can't really do anything to me. So
it's true.
Like, it's a way to have your friend and your dinner. Just cut off their arms. Easy. Easy peasy.
This way they'll be with you forever.
Exactly. Now over on Twinfinite, where it's reported that dice-based survival city builder Dice Legacy by Destiny Bit is headed to the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam on September 9th. And to round out the group over on GameSpot, it is reported that open-world action RPG Maneater by Tripwire Interactive has just received a new update across all platforms that adds a new location, a higher level cap, and much more to the game. Ooh. And that puzzle adventure game Grindstone by Capybara Games has just received a new update titled Lost Lair, which adds 20 new levels, a new boss. It also added like a mini boss and a whole lot more to the game. So be sure to check out Grindstone and Maneater, your copies across all platforms seemingly, that it's available on, for some new DLC, some new updates, and all sorts of fun stuff. But of course, speaking of fun stuff, we got to hop in to our next segment. This is God Bless the Crowd. Of course, we've been blessed with so many amazing indie game news stories. I mean, the fact that we have really any is just being blessed at this point in time. But we got to get back to the developers in our next segment, God Bless the Crowd. This is where the biggest of average Josh boys hops into all sorts of crowdfunding sites, find something awesome for us to talk about, and we do just so. This week is just, it tickles me so. We are talking about a game that I have actually spoken about in one of our Patreon exclusive episodes, currently exclusive, eventually it's going to come out to everybody else, about lesser known titles. It was Crowsworn, because I saw it in a video that Clemmy Games did, which I think now on YouTube they're like best indie games or something like that. But there were previously Clemmy Games, and they were talking about like upcoming Metroidvanias, and Crowsworn was one of them. So of course we're headed over to Kickstarter to talk about Crowsworn, an upcoming or a Kickstarter campaign, a dark fantasy and mysterious action-packed Metroidvania. Yeah, I haven't really eaten today, so I'm kind of like. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a perfect time. I probably should have eaten like a granola bar or like my friend's toe, you know, just like something before hopping on the podcast. But
it's all good. We'll get there.
I mean, yeah, my ramblings are pretty much nonsensical whether I eat or not. So I feel like it doesn't matter.
What's the difference?
You know? Yeah, 100%. Explore a grim fantasy world inhabited by men and monsters alike. The developers are looking for it $99,080. They currently have, at the time of this recording, $430,211 with 8,930 backers and 21 days left to go. This is being developed by Mongoose Rodeo, and to get in on the ground floor and actually get a copy of the game, because they do have actually a $4 tier where you just get the gratitude, which I've spoken about in the past that I really hate that tier. Giving literally nothing, I find, is just super annoying. Like, I mean, it's not even like, it's just offering nothing, because
it's just funny because there's already like a section for that. There's literally at the top the first thing you ever get.
Yeah, just pleasure without a reward.
Yeah,
you can just do that if you want to. But to actually just get the game, it's $16. That I should get a brief disclaimer. I have actually already backed Crowsworn. I was super into this for a while. I had been following the Kickstarter, waiting for it to finally come, and I backed it. I only did the $16 tier to get a copy of the game, but I even said in our Discord,
oh my God, are you
that
serious?
I thought about doing the $200 to get like a plushie, but I did not. I was I'll just do the 16.
I'm surprised because, okay, so here's why I'm surprised.
You gonna talk about the physical copies in the steel
because
if they hit that fucking Kickstarter tier and they make every single, because so at 750K Canadian dollars, they will make every physical copy a steel bookcase. If they hit that, I will increase it to the $80 tier. I will pay the additional like $64 to get a fucking steel bookcase. 100%.
I knew it.
The second they hit that tier, I'm like, boom, you get more of my money. Guaranteed.
I can't imagine them not hitting it. This Kickstarter is like popping off. Like this is one of those things where I did this more for you and for Ethan in the Discord, because y'all are just going nuts talking about this day in and day out. But like
acting like we're weird for it. The game looks fucking sweet.
It does. But this is one of those things where I'm like, we've talked about this before of like, why do I pick Kickstarters? And sometimes it's because they're more on the lower tier of the popular side, because I'm like, I want to showcase these games that people should know about, where I'm like, I look at Crowsworn and I'm like, they don't need us.
They don't need help.
They don't need us. Like,
yeah.
But that being said, like I did want to talk about this just because it looks dope. Like, you could definitely see, like, there's people who are going to make the argument of like, this is Hollow Knight, and they're not wrong, but there's definitely differences in this. It's much more a love letter than it is a direct copy, which I think is the difference between here. And man, do I love the pistols in this. I think if anything, the coolest thing is you slashing down and then having that like pistol shot. Oh, it looks so badass.
Also, did you see that move in the video where he throws the scythe? It starts to come back and he shoots it and it goes back.
Yeah.
That was so fucking cool. Oh my God. This game just like, it looks like a Chad ass game. Like, it looks fucking dope. Okay. Yeah. I guarantee there's going to be some really interesting story, and I'm super excited to get it like super heavy into the lore, very similar to Hollow Knight. But for anything, this game just looks and sounds amazing. Like the song choices sound awesome. The gameplay looks awesome. The world looks awesome. I got a massive hard on for this game. I gotta be honest. This game is fucking sweet.
It looks real good. Like, I definitely enjoy the witch doctor look in general. And I think it's super cool that that's your character. I think that the combat looks so fluid. I love the movement of like the weird dash through like lanterns. Yeah, and that is pretty cool. And it does have the pogo thing, which I'm like, yes, very inspired by Hollow Knight. But I think there's like other pieces that it kind of works with. This looks like it's going to be a hard ass game, which also makes me very excited. I want to back this, but I also don't want to give money just because I'm being frugal.
Because it's already coming out. Yeah.
Like, I know
like
this is,
wait for release.
Yeah, this is one of those, like, should I just wait for a release or should I just throw money at it now? But like, I feel like no matter what, I'll probably end up picking this up anyway. So I should just do it, right? Like, it's going to be cheaper kind of a thing.
Yeah, plus you can also get it closer to that reward, that stretch goal, where I can get me a steel case.
Or I'm trying to save you money, so I'm not making it so they get the steel case.
Dude, no, dude, fuck my money. Get me the steel case, okay? I want that fucking steel case. That's it.
It's
I don't even care. And it's like, it's $80, I think, just to get you get a physical copy of Crowsworn. You also get the digital copy. You get an access to the beta builds, a digital art book, wallpaper, and soundtrack. So like $80 for a physical edition that comes with a steel case is actually kind of a steal. Because like typically for the steel case physical editions I've paid for or wanted to pay for it, they were like $100. So I'm pretty okay with this. Like, that's pretty awesome. Like, I bought the Celeste Collector's Edition, which came with a steel case. Like, that shit's sweet. So, back it so I can fucking get my steel case. Okay? All right. I just beat the shit out of my mic. That's how upset I am about this.
I hear.
The game does look awesome, though.
It looks so good. Yeah. There's definitely, like, you could tell they really worked hard in, like, very small bits. Like, this is clearly just a chunk of like an area, which I think is a smart way that they did this, because there's not a lot that they're showing you within this Kickstarter, but I feel like what is shown is very polished, and that's kind of what pushes it ahead, right?
Yeah, it almost shows how detail oriented the development is, because if you notice like the dash of your character, when they do the dash very similar to like Hollow Knight's dash, they have this brief moment where they charge up in the air and there's like a pentagram behind them, really like leading into the whole, I believe it is called Corvin powers, which is like it's like a dark magical power. And I just think it is so fucking cool. And speaking, like, I've been talking for a while about, like, of course, the past couple episodes, and I've always kind of like really loved Hollow Knight, but I finally beat it in the past year, and I love that this is like inspired by a love letter to Hollow Knight, but also Bloodborne, because I absolutely love that like gothic horror style game.
Right.
And like you said, the Plague Doctor like aesthetic is so fucking cool. It's so awesome, and the guns are just like, it's just so dope, dude. There's just something about that. And the fact that, like, it doesn't seem to be an unlimited thing. You actually have a number of bullets that you could shoot. So you can't just, like, sit back and shoot over and over again like Devil May Cry. Instead, you seemingly have to, like, use them wisely. Granted, we'll see when the game or, like, maybe a demo comes out, how exactly you regain those bullets. But I'm very interested. I think this game looks amazing. I've been into it ever since I saw it in the Clummy Games video, and like I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Looking at it, I think that is interesting. Now that you're mentioning about the bullets and like what that looks like as far as a resource management perspective. Personally, what I would assume is just it's going to be a reload animation that would be very disadvantageous for you to do in between like combat, because all of the combat that I'm looking at looks like it's very quick. And if you have to then be like, click, click to your gun and waste a few seconds, you're probably going to get hit. So maybe it's just one of those things where it's like, unless it's your finishing blow, you probably don't want to use it.
Yeah, I'm on the side of like assuming that you probably regain those bullets through combat, very similar to
maybe
Hyperlight Drifter, how you actually have to hit people to gain a charge in your weapon.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it'll be something like that, but I'm really not sure. Ultimately, the cinematic portion of this trailer was so fucking cool. I just gotta say, it's some Chad shit, and I really loved it. I think this game looks amazing. I'd recommend everybody check it out, especially if you're a fan of like the dark gothic horror themed stuff and just Hollow Knight and Metroidvanias in general. I think it looks really awesome. But Big Josh Boy, you got any last little bits you want to say before we move on to our listener questions?
No, I think honestly, like I feel like this is a real easy one. A lot of people are going to look at it and they're going to be like, this is either for me or it's not. But if you're into Metroidvanias, if you're into Hollow Knight, you should really check it out.
Yeah, I don't think there really needs to be any sort of convincing there. If you just look at it, you get to decide. So our first listener question is from Caesar. I mean, It's in our Discord. It's like Cesara, and it's like a lot more. I'm not 100% sure how to. I believe I said their name right one time, and now I really fucked it up. So I'm just gonna go with Caesar or Cesar. I'm sorry I fucked up your name. I suck at life.
I feel like they know.
At this point they 100%.
I feel like they'll expect it.
If you write into our show, you know that I'm gonna fuck something up in your name, or a conversation we've had, or I will just read your question wrong, or just not answer it in general. So, it's
that's
fun stuff.
very possible.
Cesar writes in and says, what is your favorite candy? So Big Josh Boy, what's your favorite candy?
I'm not
this
really
is the easiest question to answer out of all the ones.
I know, and I'm not really much of a candy person though, in general. But
dude, why are you such a bitch, bro?
I don't know. I can't. What are you gonna do? I'd probably say Kit Kats. Kit Kats. No, Butterfingers.
Okay.
No, Butterfingers.
Dude, Butterfingers are really good. Butterfingers are really good. Do you fuck with do you have a preferred size of Butterfinger? And I know that sounds weird, but they have the king size that are like the 2 breakaway pieces of Butterfinger. And I have to be honest, that is too much Butterfinger. That's just too much. It's too big.
Not a candy person, and I like candies that are like the fun sized, because I like to be able to just pop them in and be like, candy, and just like eat it and be done with it.
I mean, the fun size ones, there are certain candy bars that's like, it's way better as a fun size candy bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fun sized version of Snickers almonds are for some reason so much better than every other.
Because then
the
ratios are right, because they like know like the smaller part is like you get all of whatever. With Butterfinger it doesn't matter, but like those ones that have like an almond or some kind of like gooey center in them or something,
you're like guaranteed to get it in every bite,
because it's just that bar, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I think the fun sizes are just better, because even though it's less candy, right, it's just like you can have more fun sizes if you want, and it's like just a bite. Good.
100%. For me, it would be like a Snickers almond, but specifically the fun size. Those are really, really good. I love that candy bar. Some other of my favorite candy bars, or just candies in general. I love me some Swedish Fish. That was like something that, my dad used to have them. Like it's like his favorite candy, and for some reason, like just having it around when I was a kid all the time, just really fell in love with it. Plus, it's just like a good gummy candy.
I guess
I enjoy it.
Yeah, if I was gonna eat a gummy candy, I would just eat gummy bears.
See, I like gummy bears, but not everybody makes good gummy bears. There's like a few that are good, and then there's just anus everywhere else.
Yeah,
which you'd think it'd be easy to make a gummy bear. But...
No, man, because there's this one brand. God, I can't remember the name, but they're always like hard as a rock. I'm like, why did you sell 20-year-old gummy bears? Why is that your thing?
It's their advertising pitch. These gummy bears will break your fucking jaw.
Yeah, and I'm always like, no, I hate it. Or the people, I think we've talked about this. Are you the person who puts gummy bears on their ice cream?
I did. When I was a kid.
You're such a psycho. People who do
I don't
that,
do it anymore.
Okay.
I think it's kind of weird now, but when I was a kid, I used to do that.
I hate the people who are like, gummy bears on ice cream are good. And you're like, no. They turn into rocks. Like, what are you talking about?
They get really hard. When I was a kid, like my family would go to like Golden Corral and stuff. And my parents didn't buy candy very often. We got candy like once every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved gummy bears. So I would get like the to-go cup and I would just dump it out and fill it with gummy bears.
Yeah.
And take it home. Yeah. And I always thought I was being devious. And I'm 1,000,000% sure that the fucking Golden Corral people knew exactly what I was doing, and they didn't give a shit. They're like, bro, I just saw some kid pick his nose and put his finger in the booger fountain, like in the fucking shop.
The booger fountain?
That's what I call it every time. So they don't give a shit if I'm fucking snatching some gummy bears.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Speaking of gross stuff.
Exactly. Our next question is by Will C. Writes in and says, you know the jelly bean game, Bean Boozled. So do you know that game?
I do know the game, but not very well. I just know it is a game.
Yeah, I looked it up. It seems to just be a box of jelly beans with a spinner on it that says you got to eat the shitty jelly beans. That's basically it. Like all the jelly beans that you would avoid, this just makes you eat them.
Yeah, because I think it was like at the same time maybe where the Harry Potter, those like every flavored bean thing came
it's
out
like
where
a
they're like,
dick
this one is
jelly
vomit.
bean. Yeah, you're like, why?
like you instantly go to dick. Like,
Just thinking of really bad tasting things, just like
I
penis.
guess. Penis. If I could think of one thing.
That would be so funny. What's this jelly bean flavor? Penis.
Anyway, came out around the same time, so I think that was just their spin-off of like, how do we keep this trend going? Because there were a lot of people, like even my family did that, where they were like, oh, it's the excitement of like you might taste vomit, which is not exciting when you really think about it, but like you buy the bag and then someone tastes it, and then once the first person is like, wow, it actually does taste like vomit, you're like, let's stop.
Yeah, I actually, when I worked for Albertsons, I met somebody who like I worked or works tangentially related to the like jelly bean flavors, and they told me the vomit flavor is actually just watermelon.
That's weird.
Like it's not anything special. That a lot of the flavors that are like the specialty like shitty flavors are actually just normal flavors, but
just
it's
a
kind of like a
psychological
placebo effect. Yeah,
Yeah.
where you think it tastes like vomit.
Yeah,
but
'cause
it's
there's
actually
no-
just like a fucking cherry.
There's no way they're putting fucking vomit flavor in there. They'd get some kind of legal situation. Like, I'm sure someone would bitch about it.
I mean, I don't know. We get away with, like, apparently in American candy bars, we use the same compound that is excreted in vomit in chocolate. So a lot of people that come from, like, Britain or just, like, you know, across the pond,
Yeah.
they purchase candy bars there because our chocolate eats shit and tastes like vomit, because it is literally a component of it is found in vomit.
Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta eat vomit.
Also, dude, okay, so I looked up Bean Boozled because I didn't know what it was, and one of the things advertised was cummies. It was cum gummies. I'm not even joking. It was gummies that look like sperm. And I was like, what? Who sells this?
Don't like that.
Like, yeah, like Haribo, like the fucking gummy bear people are
Yeah.
like, cummies.
Cummies.
Everybody loves a cum gummy.
No, I'm not really big into being a cum dummy.
Yeah, it's just like the Spencer's stores where they like sell a lollipop that's like a
Yeah.
huge penis. You're just like, I mean, I get it, but also you just have to
novelty.
assume it doesn't taste well, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
what if you did taste it? You're like, this is the best thing I've ever had, and then you literally can't stop buying just these dick popsicles or
Yeah.
lollipops, and you're like,
You're
this
like,
is just,
it's
the
your
best
my
thing.
strange addiction. You're just like, I'm addicted to penis-shaped lollipops. I spent my entire life savings on
Maybe, I don't
a
know.
wholesale
Anyway.
batch of dick lollipops. So Will also writes in and says, "Do you think people would play it if it weren't in jelly bean form?" I don't think that's the problem with Bean Boozled. I think it's just like they were like, "Oh, what are the shittiest jelly bean flavors? Those are what you have to eat." Like, who the fuck eats the popcorn jelly bean? Who optionally eats that?
I don't know. Some people might like it. The warm
Honestly, I just feel
butter.
like that's the problem with the jelly beans as a candy.
I
is like,
don't like jelly
they're
beans.
like fucking 40 of the 50 different types of jelly beans are absolute dog shit. They're like, but then there's like Skittles does it where they're just like, sure, you may not like the yellow Skittle because it's like fucking, I don't know, lemon or something like that, but it's still appetizing. Versus jelly beans, they're just like, we made dog shit jelly bean. Like, eat it. And it just comes in like normal box of jelly beans. It doesn't even need to be a novelty. They're just like, no, it's just in the box of jelly beans.
We've really struck a nerve here.
Because jelly beans fucking suck. They're a shitty candy, dude.
I'll agree. I really don't like jelly beans. I think they're kind of gross. I think you have like 3 of them and then you kind of feel sick to your stomach because they just, I don't know what they are. They're just like sugar, and they're
The only jelly
good
bean that I
sugar.
approve of are like the off-brand jelly beans when like fucking they make Starburst jelly beans or Jolly Rancher jelly beans. Like, that's a good jelly bean.
Yeah,
I'll
but then-
fuck with that jelly bean. But
But
normal
then just
jelly
eat a
beans is like,
Starburst. Like, stop. Just eat a Starburst.
well, they
at
don't
that
even
point.
taste like Starburst. They're just like, this tastes like, they basically were like, this is a Starburst jelly bean. It's just a bigger jelly bean. This says Starburst on it, but it it's the same flavoring as the pink jelly bean. If it's pink, it's just a pink jelly bean, but it just says Starburst. And it's like, that's fucking dumb. But do I think so? Absolutely not. As an example, Will gives, cottage cheese or bird feces. Would you eat feces for $1,000? Absolutely not. I would not eat poop
No
for
way.
$1,000.
No way.
I think it's outrageous that people are like $1,000. That is not that much money. It's some money, and like I totally get that is a lot of money for some people, but you have to eat shit for it. That's not that much money. Like, give me 10 grand. Like, if I could buy a car, you have to give me enough money to buy a car.
You can get
and I'd be like, yeah, I'll eat some poopy. But like, no.
I like how we've set the bar here. Yeah, it is kind of interesting because I think the funny part about it is like where you're at in your life. I feel like you look at money so differently.
Yeah, if I was like a teenager in high school, I'm like,
and I saw this, I'd be like,
eat a turd?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Like a 10-year-old kid where they get like $50 a year from like a fucking their allowance, and they're just like, I will give you $1,000 to lick that white dog shit. You'd be like, right now?
You're like, let's
eat it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you just have to lick it, and they're like, I'll take a bite. Like, you give me $2,000 if I do that? Like, I'll swallow it and everything.
Yeah, like, nope, not now. Fuck that. No, I would not do that. I have no interest in eating feces for any sum of money.
But I mean, also, pick an animal of your choice. His would probably be rabbit. So you just any animal. Would you eat their poop for $1,000?
No. I mean, no.
Really?
I would eat a what is that one microscopic little animal? I would eat its so
like an amoeba?
Yeah, I'd eat that. So you'd like,
or like the sea monkeys. Like they're basically just shrimp.
I would just drink.
Like
I would drink their water.
Yeah. Hold up! You like shrimp though, right? You're just always eating poopy.
No, I don't like shrimp. I mean, I do like shrimp, but I don't like eating shrimp. That sounds stupid, but it's a texture thing. I can't.
I get it.
Yeah. It has to be
obviously I get it. I'm a picky eater.
Yeah. It has to be like fried for me to eat it, like finely diced into something or whatever. Like, but otherwise, if it's just like, here, eat this shrimp and like rip into its skin and get this weird crunchy mix between mushy and crunch, and I'm like, no, it's too much. I don't know why it freaks me out.
All right. Zach writes in and says, are you guys excited about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl? It's being developed by an indie team. I've only played one of their games, Idle Do, but I enjoyed it. And who would be your dream Nicktoons fighter to be added? So, Big Josh Boy, are you excited about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl? And is there anyone not on the roster currently that you would like to be added?
I don't know. I'm not that crazy about it because I probably won't play this because party games, like I am very rarely into them. I don't know. I mean, I feel like my friends might pick it up, like one of my friends, and I would play it, but I don't think I would out of my way go and buy this game. It looks pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was watching. Oh my god, I'm like scrolling and doing shit on the dock. I'm not gonna lie. It looked pretty good. Like in the trailer, I was like, it's actually kind of like, it wasn't like the clunky, when you think of one of these type of games, you think of like an old Flash game from like the 90s on Newgrounds, and you're like, this is real shit. Like this is not what I want to play. Or like one of those webtoons that you would get from Nickelodeon.com that they used to have, like those type of games. So this actually looks good. So it's one of those things where I'm optimistic and I'm gonna wait and see and be like, is it good? Maybe I'll get it if it's good. But as far as the characters, they've got Invader Zim, and that's all I care about.
So from what I understand, the fighters that are here, it says this is an incomplete list, but you can help. Yeah, this is just from the fandom for specifically, it's actually the SpongeBob fandom, but it's breaking down the fucking Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. These are the ones we currently know about. So it's SpongeBob SquarePants, Patrick Star, Sandy Cheeks, Michelangelo, Leonardo, both, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Lucy Cloud, and that's from The Loud House. So is Lincoln Loud.
I have no
I've
idea
never seen that
what
show
that
before.
is. Yeah, I saw that
know
in the
what
trailer.
the characters look like, but I've
no
never seen the
idea.
show.
I looked at the trailer and I was like, who are you? And they're like, it's Lucy. And I'm like, should I know this? Like, what? What?
Then we have Nigel Thornberry, Oblina, Helga, Danny Phantom, Reptar, Zim, and Powdered Toast Man. So,
That's
is there
hilarious.
anybody that you would like to be added to the roster? Like, what's your dream? Is what specifically Zach asked for.
You know what? I wish they had like Norbert and Daggett from Angry Beavers.
Oh, I mean, I'd assume they probably are going to have one. Like I said, this is an incomplete list.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're probably just going to choose like the iconic Nicktoons, which I'd say the Angry Beavers is definitely one of them now.
I
think it's weird that they went with Powdered Toast Man, though, from the Ren and Stimpy show.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it is kind of like very unique, I guess. But I also think that they probably did that because they can, like, you want to pick those wacky characters because they're going to have crazy move sets that you can play with, as opposed to just like Stimpy or Ren, who's just going to be like this weird, like like and 2 arms, 2 legs, whatever. With Powdered Toast Man, you could do weird superhero bullshit.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, one of my biggest things with this game is wondering how exactly a lot of them are going to fight. Like, because a lot of them are not, they don't really fight in their series. Like, the only few that I could really see having a normal, I guess, like, attack rotation would be like Zim, Reptar, Danny Phantom, and the Ninja Turtles.
I mean,
like,
that's probably
rest of
why
them,
they were chosen, though, right? Like,
or I guess like Sandy Cheeks as well, because she does karate. But
so SpongeBob.
yeah,
Karate.
good point. He's got them fucking anchor arms, dude. But I'm interested to see how a lot of them fight outside of it. Like, so Patrick Starr, I'm interested. The Lucy Loud and Lincoln Loud, Nigel Thornberry specific.
That one's gonna be an interesting one.
Smashing.
It is
Like,
kind
I
of
want
funny
to know so bad.
because they run into the same thing that's kind of strange about Super Smash. Is that
Also, this game looks like Nickelodeon Super Smash. Just gotta say it. Looks just like it.
But it's like they run into the same problem. I don't know if that's a problem, but you have a middle schooler, Helga Pataki, fighting a dinosaur. It's like the movesets and how those clash up is gonna look real wonky. So
yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking about Super Smash earlier, and I was like, so many of those characters in that roster like are from games that focus on or at least have combat. But then of course you have something like Animal Crossing, where they brought in the villager and they brought in Isabelle.
They figured a way.
And yeah, they figured it out. So I totally have like complete confidence that something like this could happen. Granted, I have not played Idle Do. I have not played any of the games developed by this team, so I really don't know. Ultimately, I'm not going to purchase this game because I don't like fighting games. I'm really not into it. But who would be like my dream of having them on here? I think it's amazing that Danny Phantom's on here. To be completely honest,
yeah,
I think that's fucking awesome. Like,
it is
Danny
very
Phantom,
interesting.
Yeah, Danny Fenton would probably be, I guess, Phantom, because that's really what he punches shit in, would really be the person that I'd want. Outside of that, dude, I want fucking Donnie from the Wild Thornberries.
I was thinking
that
about
kid
that too.
is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And literally he'd just be like like all the time. It would be so awesome. I would fucking love that. It would get so annoying, but it would be amazing. I think he could go ape shit on people. It would be awesome.
Probably.
So there you go. I think it's cool that, like, I mean, they have Oblina from Real Monsters, which I think is actually kind of cool, because it's like that's a character that only like 90s and before kids will know about. And kids now that are purchasing this will be
I mean, I think this is definitely heavily handed towards the nostalgia people. Like,
yeah, especially because the only like current cartoons outside of SpongeBob would be the Loud Lincoln and Loud Lucy people,
like whatever that is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, they're the only ones they'd probably know about, at least currently. Like I said, we don't know the complete roster.
I wonder
So-
if they're gonna have Doug, because Doug's now part of Disney in some way. There was a time where Doug was on Nick, and then he was on Disney. Like, I don't know how the rights work for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, also, this is one thing I don't know about either, but like Rocco's Modern Life, I'm wondering if isn't that a Nicktoon?
Yeah, that's
So I'm wondering
Nickelodeon.
if they'll include.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Also, like, isn't Avatar: The Last Airbender Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure that's Nickelodeon.
I think they could definitely do like Aang or Sokka. I think it'd be awesome to have Sokka because I love Sokka with the meteor sword and just like how fucking goofy he is with that boomerang. I would love to see that shit. So I think that would be awesome. Speaking of dream characters, so there you go.
There you go.
Phil, the Wombat Emperor of Australia, writes in and says, "Have you ever looked up and seen a cloud that looks like a butt?" I'm gonna answer real quick. Yes, all the time. Clouds look weird. I've seen penises. I've seen butts. I've seen Reptar. I've seen all sorts of clouds, dude. It's just what happens, you know?
Wow. So poetic.
You ever seen a butt cloud?
No, not me.
Really? Do you just not look up?
I don't look
You
up.
don't care?
It's too
You
scary
don't like
up
the
there.
clouds?
No.
Oh, okay. You're not a big fan of condensation, but you like the precipitation. You know what I mean? It's all about the water cycle.
Sure.
6th grade science, right there, Big Bosh Boy.
That's-
Big Josh Boy.
Big Bosch boy.
Big Bosh Boy. Getting a new name, dude. That's it. You get just like Dennis, dude. You're getting a new name.
That's how it works. All right.
Phil also writes in and says, "Ever seen that show Wife Swap? Do you think that you would manage? How do you think that you would manage with living with each other's spouses for a couple of weeks? Have you ever seen Wife Swap?
No, I've never seen it.
Really? This show is fucking insane. They literally just take the wife out of each scenario and just switch them, and they just have to live with them for like a couple weeks. And
Sounds
typically
awful.
it goes terribly because they'll choose like a really neurotic person and someone who gives no fucks, and they'll just switch them. And the families like. The family of like their neurotic person will be kind of excited about it initially, but then realize in a very stereotypical way that like their house is going to be fucked up and they're, oh no, actually, if I remember correctly, they have to perform the duties of the other wife. So it's like if they would get up at 6 a.m. to cook, and when I said that, it seemed pretty weird. But all in all, the show is fucking weird. Like, it is such a weird concept. Imagine being like, what if there was a TV show, but if it was like a key party where like you put your keys in a bowl and like you go home with somebody's wife. Instead of that, we take the sex out of it and they just have to do the other person's chores. How about that? And you're like, that is a weird fucking show, dude. But it works. This is a very interesting show.
Okay. Sounds dumb. But anyway, I don't know enough about your wife to make a good opinion.
I feel like we
on
don't
this.
actually talk about our wives that much on the show.
Yeah, no. I'd like to keep her a little bit out of the dumb bullshit that we do. But two, like even like we've talked about our wives before, but that doesn't give me like a good indication of like how would I fit? Hey, how she actually is. So like I don't know that I would. I feel like I'm a pretty chill person and pretty lax, so I think I would be okay. And I do a lot of the chores around the house anyway. So like I feel like I'd still be able to like clean up the house and make sure I don't fucking go crazy. But like
I feel like it would just be completely normal. Like there's not. I feel like with both of our families, there doesn't seem to be this like really heavy-handed dynamic.
No.
Where you could not exist without the other person. Like I don't want to live without her, but I could exist without her. So I think it'd be totally fine. Granted, I don't know much about Flora, so I have no idea.
I'm gonna say
the little that I talk about with Morgan is literally just like goofing on her for different things.
Yeah.
It's generally just to make jokes. I don't think I've ever actually like I think there's maybe once or twice I've gotten real about my marriage, but other than that, it's just,
so that's why like I don't know enough. But I'm gonna assume, she likes pasta is all I know about her, and she drinks wine.
Yeah.
I could
It's actually a lot of her personality right there.
I could get with that for a couple of weeks. I think I'd be okay.
All right. Also, Phil writes in and says, any interest in the OLED Switch?
No. Not a one.
Don't care.
Not even a
the
little.
only interest that I have in this, like I barely played the Switch that I have, so I'm not going to be picking up another one. But I think it's hilarious how many people are outraged and or goofing on the OLED Switch.
I think it's
dude,
fun.
I love the memes so much about seemingly the bragging about having the Ethernet port in the dock, and it's like the fucking original Xbox had an Ethernet port in it.
Yeah, dude. It's a weird flex for sure.
Yeah.
Nintendo just doing Nintendo things. I like it. I think that if you don't have a Switch, like, it's cool, but I do, and I don't want to buy a new one if it's just in like a nicer looking screen, which is nice, right? But like, I play my Switch mostly docked, so it does literally nothing for me. What I'm most interested to see is if they have what's been like rumored could possibly
if they
happen.
actually do the like Switch Pro.
No, of the screen burning the screen.
What?
Because like that type of screen is more prone to having like overheating and like the image getting kind of like stuck on the screen itself. Like, have you ever had, like, I've had it with phones before where it's done that, where your phone, if you look at something for so long and it like overheats, it'll kind of like afterwards when you leave that, it'll be kind of like burned into it.
I don't think I've ever had that, but that would be an amazing shitty thing to happen with your console. Like, you just spent like $500, $400 or $500 on it, and then it gets a fucking like, it gets like the booger Pokemon like burned into your screen.
Yeah,
that would suck so bad.
Yeah, so,
I guess the thing I'm most interested in is how catastrophic this launch is going to be with it. Like, how many issues they're going to have, because every console has issues. It's like a guarantee shit's going to be fucked up.
We'll see, because like their other, you know, the slightly stepped up Switch that came out a few years ago, there was no real big thing about it. People were just kind of pissy that there was an older version that was the same price. But like with this, I don't think there's too much, but we'll have to see, because it's right here. Like, apparently just OLED displays can experience image retention if subjected to static visuals over a long period of time. So
just don't play like RTSs, things that would take a very long time to choose a turn.
Yeah.
Or card games. Really, you shouldn't be playing card games in general, but like, if you're going to, don't play them on your OLED Switch, because you're going to fuck shit up.
I won't agree with all of that statement.
I will agree with all of that. And lastly, if you could be the emperor of any country/region and animal, what would you choose? For example, Vaughn could be the sloth emperor of the USA. So, Big Josh boy, what region would you choose, and what animal would you be?
I would be the Corgi Emperor of Denmark.
Denmark specifically. Any special reason? You're just a big fan of Denmark?
I went there once. It was super chill, and I really like corgis. I figured, why not? Have you ever watched Infinity Train?
I only a little bit, and I have seen the episode of like the corgi. Yeah. There's just like a shitload of corgis everywhere. Yeah, that was weird.
Such a great existence.
Yeah, they're like, our legs are too tiny to wade through the water. And it's literally like puddle deep water.
It's so funny. I loved it. So good. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'd pick. Why not?
I mean, for me, like, have you ever heard about the sovereign land inside of Italy? Yeah. Where there's a guy who like owns, there are borders within his land that is actually sovereign, and he is the king of that land within Italy. I think it's like around that area. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But you ever heard of that?
I have just now.
Yeah, he wears a crown and everything. It's awesome. I really love it.
That's who you want to be?
I would very much love to do something like that, where like I would be the tyrannical overlord of Idaho, and I'm gonna go out of here and like I'm just gonna lean on it and say, dude, I would be a potato, not an animal, but like if I was the potato, what would it be?
The real like, Mr. Potato Head over here.
Oh, dude, right? So I would be the potato tyrant of Idaho. I mean, he's literally like his entire body is a potato.
Yeah, he's just a potato. He's Mr. Potato.
They don't actually call him Mr. Potato Head anymore. It's just Potato Head, because he doesn't have a gender. or they don't have a gender. Like they used to do Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head, but from what I understand now, it is they don't actually have.
I mean, it kind of makes more sense, right?
Head.
Because the pieces are just there. It's just a potato. You just put whatever pieces you want, right? You can put
you
any
just swap it out.
Yeah.
It's never really had like a gender outside of what we subjected it to. We're like, this is Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
You're just like, but it's not though. Okay. Yeah. No, I would. Yeah, I'd be the tyrant potato of Idaho.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it fits.
I would make a wall around Idaho, but it would be easily scalable, Like people would be like, but what about ropes? And I'd be like, fuck, you could probably climb with a rope, Like you'd probably be good. So good stuff just in general.
Strange.
Ethan, specifically Ethan a Gamer for Fun, but Ethan writes in and says, what is your view on accessibility versus difficulty and whether or not developers should have to make their games to be completed by everyone? So essentially, like, this
should
is
there
brought
be an
up a
easy
lot.
difficulty?
Yeah, an easy difficulty or difficulty added to games that do not have them. Specifically, a lot of people talked about this when Sekiro released, if there should be a difficulty kind of forced upon from software for their games.
Yeah.
So what's your idea?
I lean towards the side of I think there should be accessibility, but I also think that as a developer or as a studio, you should have the right to say, like, this is the way the game was meant to be experienced. I don't think that if it's outside of your budget or outside of, your interest in what you think this experience should be, you should change it when it comes to difficulty. But like, there's also a difference between accessibility in can people play it for a lot of other reasons versus it just being hard. It could be just visual things. It could be, audio cues. It could be ways to make it more accessible for people who are disabled and can't have the same motor function as just the other, the average person. So I think with those should be like kind of mandatory. But if we're talking about just like, should this game be hard versus not as hard? I don't know. I think it's better to do it, but I understand the reasoning against it in some cases. So I'm gonna give kind of a half-baked answer of just like whatever works for you as a developer. But like, I think it's better to have it than not have it.
Yeah, I personally, I don't think that developers should be forced to do anything with their game. Like, accessibility is completely up to them. I think there are, like you said, a few things that I do think should be a staple. So like colorblind modes and different forms of accessibility for the like visual and hearing impaired. When you talk about people whose motor functions are impaired, that's when things get a little bit more difficult because it's also kind of like it's a case-by-case basis. You can't make it available for literally everybody because there are a lot of people who have very specific needs, and just downplaying the difficulty isn't really going to change that.
For sure.
Making Dark Souls have an easy mode I don't think it'll make it easy or like more accessible for people that are impaired in any way. I really don't think so. Instead, I think that we need to make it easier to attain different types of peripherals that are made by things like Able Gamers. How they you can basically like donate to Able Gamers, and they work with they work with people. They work with like all of them, and they work on different peripherals and all sorts of stuff. I feel like that is the best way to do it, because that way you're not hampering the creative process, but you also get to contour your needs to each case-by-case basis. Like, somebody needs a controller that's completely different than others. And but I mean, it is kind of a hard thing to talk about because you want everybody to be able to experience these games, but also like that might negatively impact the experience overall.
For sure. But I think there's certain practices that now you see it more often, but before was not the case. Like something as simple as button mapping. and having the ability to set your own buttons for whatever actions are in the game, like something like that is necessary. Like, I think it's crazy if you're gonna come out with a game and be like, this is how you play it, this is where you press, there's nothing you could do about it. Like, those kind of things I think are an accessibility like necessity, right? But a difficulty level is really weird because it also becomes hard to decipher what is the difference between hard and easy, right? Like, because there's ways to do it right, and there's ways that probably aren't as good. Like, if your way of making Dark Souls easy is just by making it like when you get hit, nothing happens and you're invincible. Like, is that really what those people want to play the game? Like, I don't know. And maybe that is, right? And like, maybe there should be a way that you get that. But, you know, is it more or less having like, instead of it being, you know, you could still get one shot or you could still get, you know, 2 or 3 shot, just make it so the time delay or the reaction time that is needed is slowed down. Maybe when they go to attack you, there is a delay that gives them the chance to do the dodge roll that they need to do or whatever it might be, rather than just saying like, oh, everything should just be invincibility. But it's hard because, you know, who's to say which way is right? And it becomes a pretty big decision from a developer side, because then they have to choose to totally break their game in a certain way to fit a need that might not be what other people even consider that accessibility of like, how do we make this game playable to all audiences, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it should also be said, like, when I started thinking about this, and in the terms of like a Sekiro or Dark Souls, or basically just any game that is relatively difficult, I don't think necessarily, like, once again, I should say, I don't think the developers should be forced to do anything. If they want to do it 100%, I don't think that they should be forced to do anything. But I don't think that adding like a difficulty slider or being able to adjust certain things, very similar to like a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where you could kind of like adjust your difficulty based on your needs. I don't think that actually hampers gameplay in any way. Like, I think, yes, if you added an easy mode to Dark Souls, it would make things a little bit different. But I think the people who are coming for the challenge of Dark Souls easily could just choose the normal difficulty.
Right.
Like,
it just
if
becomes
it's like, hey, this is the accessibility mode and this is the normal mode, I think that it would be more work on the developer's part,
for sure,
which
for sure,
like, you have to watch out for with crunch. But at the same like token, I think that people who are arguing against this, saying that like Dark Souls is meant to be difficult, it's like,
it just feels
does it really
gatekeepy.
hampers anyone enjoyment if it wasn't?
Yeah,
you know, like, why does it exactly matter if somebody else played the game on an easier difficulty? It really doesn't. Like you said, it's very gatekeeping.
Yeah, and it just seems weird because I'm like, and obviously there might be other people who have a different opinion, and maybe, you know, this is just the way that I'm looking at it. But like, if that's your idea of you just being gatekeepy and being like, well, I don't want people to experience it because I want them to struggle or whatever it might be, or you think that that's the ideal way to play it, then like, it's the same concept of just having a normal or a, this is standard, like this is what the difficulty should be, which many games that have that setting as far as difficulty goes, they'll say literally in there, this is the intended difficulty. This is for people who want an extra challenge. This is for people who don't want as much of a challenge, right? Like, and if you're really in that same light of you wanting that because you want that reward of being like, well, I can beat it and that's what makes me special, then have that same reward, but just be like, I did it on this normal or this much more challenging difficulty, right? Like, why does it have to be like other people can't experience it? But yeah, I don't know.
No, I totally think that's right. Like, why should it hamper your enjoyment of the game if somebody else just plays it on an easier mode? It really shouldn't, for the most part. The one thing that I would say that I somewhat understand when it comes to, like, I guess the Dark Souls fandom, the Souls-like fandom, is a lot of the enjoyment of those games is kind of the stumbling and just slowly finding your way through it.
Right.
And I think in a way it's like kind of wanting people to experience it the same way you did so that you can bond over that and understand and reach kind of a mutual understanding. But ultimately, like, I really don't think that adding a difficulty slider and making games more accessible hurts anything. I think it just means that, like, more people get to enjoy it, and that's amazing. As long as you don't force developers to do it. Like, if From Software said, nah, we don't want to do that, I don't think that should be, like, I don't think that's morally wrong, and I don't think that they should be forced to do anything they don't want to, because it's their creative vision to make their games difficult.
Yeah.
You just don't have to play the game, like, whatever. It's all interesting. Chris writes in and says, Hollow Knight, Silksong, or Fez 2, what would you pick if one could only exist? One only exists, actually. It's Hollow Knight, Silksong, so I think we all just choose that because Fez 2 doesn't exist. But also, like, outside of that answer, that was a douchey way to say that, I guess. But I was not a massive fan of Fez. I think it's an amazing game, but I've talked about it in the past. It actually, like, made me very uncomfortable and, like, queasy with the motion of the world. Granted, I was once again playing on a Vita, so it might have been the small screen, but, like, if you could choose between a reality where only Hollow Knight, Silksong, or Fez 2 could exist, which one would you choose?
Silksong, 100%.
So the one we're in now. Okay.
Yeah, the reality we live in. Yeah. I think Fez was a great game, but it was a puzzle game, and I enjoy puzzle games. But if you were to stack that up against a game like Hollow Knight, I'm gonna lean more towards that style of game. That's just who I am, and I feel like there's definitely a lot of people who might lean on the other side. But nah, I gotta go with Silksong.
I mean, you might also have to take into account the fact that, like, Team Cherry wants to make Hollow Knight, Silksong. Phil Fish does not want to make Fez 2. He canceled it for a reason. He doesn't want to make that game, or at least doesn't want to deal with everything, the politics and the community and, like, dealing with everybody that goes into making a game. I can't say that he doesn't want to make games. So I feel like living in the reality where Fez 2 exists is kind of just like, oh yeah, we forced Phil Fish to buckle down and make fucking Fez 2, and we got a dog shit game because he really was not passionate. Feeling it. Yeah. Like, didn't care. Versus Hollow Knight, Silksong is going to be amazing because, one, Team Cherry, like, has kind of, I mean, they've proven themselves in a sense with one game. Granted, like, lots of developers make a shitty second game. It happens.
We'll see. I mean, that could be, man, that would be a sad,
fucking suck.
That would be a sad reality if that was a flop.
Yeah, like, it would really blow, but it seems like Team Cherry really cares about what they're making, and I think, like, Phil Fish might phone in a Fez 2 because just the heart isn't in it. Like, the games industry kind of broke that man. So
yeah, a little bit.
I don't think if Fez 2 ever came out that it would really be that great, unless, like, Phil Fish went on, like, some sort of, I don't know, like, a silent retreat or something and fucking, like, really looked inward and found themselves, you know what I mean? But I don't think that's gonna happen. And lastly, number one Turner and Huge fan writes in and says, yeah, I got a question. My lawnmower turned over in my front yard and won't turn off. How the fuck am I supposed to mow my grass? Really, just, like, pluck the grass, hold it up to the fanning blade. They could definitely chop off your arm, like, cut it, and then just, like, stuff it back in the ground.
Yeah.
Easiest way to mow your grass right there.
That was going to be my answer too. I was going to be like, just pull the ground up and then put it into the lawnmower. And then the lawnmower, see, the good thing about it being, like, right there is it's just going to, you don't even have to put it back. You drop it in, you rip out a bunch of the grass, you drop it in, it's going to fly out and just go right back. And that'll be your new yard.
It'll look exactly the same, just a little bit shorter.
Just like a little shorter, a little puffier.
Definitely won't just look like a gigantic dirt patch with mulch all over it.
No. The only possible option is to literally change the way the earth you know, the gravitational pull of everything, just totally flip everything on its side.
Yeah, just contour reality to your lawnmower. Like everything is now at like a curve. Even your body is like.
Yeah.
That.
That's the only other option.
Yeah, there's really nothing else. Like you couldn't just turn over your lawnmower. Like.
I mean, that's too dangerous. It's too dangerous.
Yeah. Easy. Like you could rip apart the space-time continuum if you turned over your lawnmower.
That's how it works. It's
1,000,000%.
You gotta leave it there. You gotta leave it there. Speaking of gotta leave it there.
That is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside the show, you can do so in a bunch of different ways. Specifically, make sure to follow us at IndiePod on Twitter for notifications of when our episodes go live, new deals and quick steals that I can't quite get in time for the show, and all sorts of other stuff. Be sure to follow us at IndiePod on Twitter. You can follow me, Vaughn, at Hyde Legion. That's HYDELEGION for, I don't know, whatever the dumb bullshit that I do. I don't really know at this point. You can follow Josh at _George90. You can check out his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/ I was going to say Hyde Legion. That's mine. His is _George. Yeah, that's a whole lot of stuff.
Close. That's close. Letters a little bit different, but close enough.
Just a little bit. If you rearranged the letters and added a few others, it would be... they'd match up. And lastly, once again, got to run through the housekeeping. Check out our Jonathan Ovadia developer interview, the CEO of Axe Lab, talking about their game Veil VR. That one is going live on Wednesday, the 21st of July. Please check it out. It's probably going to be a good one. Check out our Teespring for t-shirts and stickers, the IndiePad stuff. Head over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch these episodes and some other miscellaneous stuff currently. Please leave us reviews on any platform in which you could do so. Specifically, iTunes is going to help us. I don't really know. I really don't know. And thank you so much to everyone who gives us any amount of money, but specifically the $3 tier and higher, which would be Ethan, a gamer for fun, John, it's just John. Whatever. We'll see. Mixomatosis, aka Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the one better of Australia, Chris Penwell, always drinking tea, Josh Nichols, aka Active Josh, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much for being patrons. You're all so amazing, and we will talk to you all next week, or at least I will. We might be just doing like a solo episode where I run you through the indie game news and maybe complain about whatever happened in my life between today and next week. So be prepared. Big Josh Boy's going on vacation to like a completely weird place. Where are you going on vacation to?
North Carolina, Asheville.
Yeah, that's weird.
Why is that weird? It's
okay, when
weird.
you hear the word vacation, you do not think I'm going to North Carolina.
What? Oh, no, man.
But granted, you are doing so for a completely valid reason. Like, that is a place that you enjoy because of your taste.
Good.
But, like, when you hear somebody's going on a vacation to relax, you're like, oh, you going to Maui? Going to, like, Hawaii? You going to the Caribbean?
No.
Going to Costa Rica? You going to Mexico? You're like, nah, I'm going to North Carolina, big boy.
I'm going to
hang out with...
Vail. Lots of beer. Lots of food.
Yeah.
White water rafting.
Lots of food.
Fun.
All right. Well, Big Josh is not going to be here next week, or maybe he will. Probably not. No, I'm thinking no. We decided on me doing a solo episode or possibly having a guest. So we're probably just doing the solo thing. So that is it for this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening, and I will talk to you next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I will not. Goodbye, friends. Can you believe that this episode was almost
2 hours?
Almost 2 hours, but also half of it was literally just listener questions.
Oh, yeah. That is actually...
So many questions. Oh, my goodness.